Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ramana Kumar. I head the Global Transaction Banking for National Bank of Abu Dhabi. Isn't it a bit of paradox that you have a digital conference and question answers will be answered after 48 hours? It's a bit of paradox, right? Anyway, that's nothing to do against you guys. Okay, back to the session. How many of you followed Snapchat IPO? Great. If you look at the current stock valuations, the top 5 digital IT companies compared to are much larger than top 5 agricultural companies, top 5 manufacturing companies, top 5 oil and gas, top 5 any companies. Is that reality or is that perception? The reason why I'm asking you this question and why I've started with this concept is I'm not here to help you or to tell you how to make yourself valued as a Snapchat. I'm here to be part of your lives, our lives, and help you as organizations to look at how digital will transform the core part of your journey, which is the working capital. It's great to hear about Snapchat, it's great to hear about Google, it's great to hear about Facebook, but at the end of the day, we're all here, we have our organizations, we need to make profit, we need to make sustainable business, and we're all at the end of the day valued for what we deliver to our shareholders, or if you are yourself owners, what you deliver to you as an organization in terms of profit or the return on investment. So on that note, my presentation will predominantly focus around how you should look at opportunities to use digital to shape your working capital needs, or how to transform yourself to make your customers aligned to what you're doing so that you become sustainable business aligned to the interests of your customers. So if your customers are changing, going back to the example, if someone is valuing Snapchat at a particular dollar valuation, it's the person's or it's the people's perception. Again, back to, these are the same people who are going to value your services, you're going to value your products, you're going to value your proposition. So remember that. It may be reality, it may not be reality, but it's brought back to the perception of the people who are your customers. And if you manage their perceptions, you can still do on an Excel sheet. You can still do manually. The banks still have an option of asking the customers to visit the branches and stand in line to deliver, provided that's the perception of expected service of a customer, which unfortunately is not. So let me look at it in terms of what is it that I'm going to cover as part of the scope. What are the key challenges faced by SMEs today? How many of you here are in finance or owners of a company or someone who deal with suppliers or someone who deal with end-to-end solutions? How many of you are here? Okay, great. Because it's important that I align to what your perceptions are, right? You're my customers now. I don't want to be standing here and talking something which doesn't make any sense. So back to the burning issues today of SMEs. What are the key burning issues today of SMEs? I'm going to say something. Please say you agree or you don't agree. Are you worried about too many touch points with too many banks? And really wondering what is going to happen to get one complete account balances, what I have with my bank. I need to get 10 different account statements, sit together, document an Excel sheet, and add all of them and prepare a consolidated report. Is that a burning issue today? No? Yes? Yes? Yeah. Is that a burning issue today that you as companies providing or supplying to your buyers and not getting money back quicker? Or even as per the credit life cycle? So previously you used to sell something and used to get back in 45 days. Now the market is pushed. You're actually getting back in 60 days. So your cash conversion cycle has been impacted. As an SME, for me, for us, sitting in as SMEs, that's the biggest challenge anywhere in the world today. Cash conversion cycle. Sitting in here, are you worried how many manual process really kill your organization? In terms of physically paper moving from one place to another place to another place to another place, and that's inside your organization, and subsequently the same paper going from here to your suppliers, to your buyers, and people putting it in the drawer, missing your invoice. How many times has this happened as part of your lives? Oh, sorry, I forgot the invoice is in my drawer. Oh, sorry, I don't know where the paper is, where your invoice is. Some procurement department is sitting there, or someone in contracts department is sitting. I have no idea how I'm going to, when we are going to approve it. These are day-to-day issues faced by the organizations, right? And subsequently, your employee services. Again, back to your employee services. Are you still working on an Excel-based salary payments? Are you still working on a paper-based approvals of petty cash, paper-based approvals of travel and expenses? Guys, this is reality. This is where you would get a maximum transformation of digital, right? Not about clicking a button and then going from here to Las Vegas. That'll happen. That's next stage. So if I have to build a journey of digital transformation, it's about building the basics. The basics today is the ethos on which the organization stands today, and move away from the burning issues of day-to-day working capital. When you move away from the day-to-day issues of working capital, you move into a transformation. You move and look at how am I going to do bringing all my suppliers and buyers into a blockchain? How am I going to do bringing my central banks, shipping, ports, customs, all under one roof, and the click of a button, my goods move from Singapore to Dubai? That still needs the basic blocks to be put in its place. I've talked about the 4 key challenges, right? I'm going to focus on these 4 key challenges. First challenge, as I mentioned, is the multiple access point, multiple point of interface. How many of you today have point of sale machines which capture sale from your customers? Yeah? How many of you today have an online payment gateway system where your customers pay money to you? How many of you today accept cash? A lot of you. The cash sitting in tills is useless. Till the cash hits the account and you make money out of it, you make benefit out of it. The cash sitting in your drawers, in your tills, in each of these bags is as useless as a piece of paper sitting on your desk. How are you going to convert that? The next part we talked about is once you build these basics, we talk about the next level of transformation journey. That's when you, your suppliers, your other entities, your buyers, suppliers, all come into a hub where we can talk about the blockchains, the supply chains, the distributed ledger technologies, and so on and so forth. But all in it, as an SME, I would not jump in and start embracing a transformation without knowing what's in it for me. What am I going to achieve out of it? If today I use gadget for my salespeople on the road, isn't it not digital transformation? It is a digital transformation. I am converting pieces of paper coming out from my potential customers moved into an electronic piece, which is lethal information for me. So look at what benefits you, what return you get, and what is it, and that's where the blocks are so important to address. So let me progress on these blocks one after the other. Imagine you are an organization here, and you've got an invoice to pay. You have delivered a service to your customer, and your customer needs to pay you. Today, if you look at any organization collecting money for the payment of a service or any product to a customer, there are different ways a customer pays you the money today for your product or service. Maybe cash, maybe through card, maybe through online banking, maybe through point of sale, maybe through a kiosk. If I am the ultimate SME receiving money from these different sources, what is the benefit for me? What is the benefit for me? Today, the key issue for me is this is provided by Bank A, provided by Bank B, Bank C, Bank D, someone A, someone B. 5 million here, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 10 million. Till all of that gets combined into 50 million, I am not managing my working capital. The money is still in the air. I cannot benefit as an owner of my company or as a finance person. I cannot benefit. There is no benefit of using this money. This is where digital transformation helps you get your money back into your account real time. How does a company, on a press of a button, get my money into bank account real time is a real transformation for SMEs today. Is a real transformation for any company in a service industry or a product industry or delivering products and services to any customer today. How do you get this money? That's the critical part. How do you move it in such a way that you have one dashboard or an integrated solution where you click and you see all my money collected at each of the point of sale, transformed into the total money into my bank account. First piece of how you can use digital solutions, moving away from cash. Cash in the account, cash in transit is as useless as piece of paper. Again, I'm going to go back to the life cycle of how your supplier-buyer relationship works. How many of you still have papers flowing around from this entity to that entity in terms of invoices? Right? Today, the biggest challenge for every organization, this has nothing to do with SME or any other organization. Every organization's biggest challenge is the physical paper moving in between a buyer and a seller. And the time taken for approvals of this. Look at this. There are about 7 steps or 8 steps we're talking about in a typical process of one simple invoices to be paid between a buyer and a seller. And the life cycle takes ages for you to get your money. How does digital help you today? Digital helps you on a click of a button, sitting in your office. Invoice goes straight from your ERP system into the buyer's ERP system, or enterprise, or a solution, or a platform. Forget about platform, forget about technology. How are you doing it? On a click of a button, real time, I am sending my invoice straight into a system where my buyer can approve and go straight back into me realizing my money, realizing my working capital. So imagine, ladies and gentlemen, you used to get 5 million, as an example, after 50 days. Today you can get 5 million in 10 days. And look at your working capital, 5 million into 4 times. If it is 10 million, what is the impact? If it is 100 million, what is the impact? You're churning your capital, you're churning your revenues, you're churning your money. All digital solutions, right? How does it happen again? Back to the same problem we talked about. How do you use digital channels to make it more faster? Move away from cash. Move away from credit into the different solutions. So we talked about online cash deposit machines. We talked about online banking as a start. We talked about payment gateway systems. We talked about NFC payments. How can someone, a tourist, imagine your customers are tourists. How can a tourist walk into your shop, buy something, and using his phone, pay the money, and go? And walk away. And you realize that money into your account real time. That's the key today. Today what happens? They come in, they give you cash, you take the cash, put it in the box. End of the day, you compile all the money in the box, send it to you with your driver. The driver goes the next day into branch, files these papers, put it into branch account, and the bank debits your account after 24 hours, 48 hours. Imagine how much efficiency you're bringing back into system. And imagine how much focus you're bringing back into your employees to focus on things which they can do rather than things they need not do for the money you're paying your employees. This is digital helping the behaviors. Back to the speaker who spoke before me. This is back to habits. This is back to changing the way you're going to work in the organization. Making your employees more committed to doing things why you have hired them to do. Intellectually, improving your employees' life cycle. Simple things like paying your employees payroll. Simple things like corporate cards. Moving away from manual petty cash into corporate cards. Moving away from simple selling your solutions in the shop and collecting cash to cashless. Credit to cash today. Paper to paperless. The moment you look at these solutions, these are much more powerful to you than Airbnb, than Snapchat, because they transform your lives. They transform your customers' lives. And when we start looking at these, the basics of cash, paper, manual process are all gone. That's where you bring in efficiency into system. After you have achieved all this, what can you do? The transformation is very simple. Once you have had these electronic platforms in place, you tell your supplier, I'm going to create this ecosystem wherein I, as a buyer, you as a supplier, company A as supplier's buyer or supplier's supplier, we all come together in one ecosystem. How does that work? I'm going to show you a short video on how, this is a video from PwC, how amazing working with the same morning coffee, how people have, how the same scenario can be looked at in the new technological domain.
This is the near future. Some things have changed, but not the coffee. No, the coffee is still the same. They grow it far away from Europe. They ship it in, roast it, grind it, and press water through it until it's a tasty kickstarter for the day. But the things that are in place to provide this nice cup of coffee, well, that's a different story. Ben here knows all about it. This is his favorite place for having coffee, and working place too. He is a financial advisor. Did you see that? You just witnessed a grinder ordering coffee beans. It's now waiting for approval. And it's done. We do that a lot these days. It's like a very, very personal signature. This roasting company started using blockchain for all their transactions a few years ago. It was already popular for a while back then. And they started using a self-driving car service for the transportation of their beans. I remember the old days when paper was the main ingredient for trade finances. You know, for financing cargo. Oh boy, you could build a city out of the amount of trees that were spent that way. Luckily, it's all blockchain now. Yes, there's still a lot of banking, but not many banks. There are now many more services for transactions than 5 years ago. And for lending, don't get me started. I can get credit almost everywhere, even me. Can you imagine? There's a lot that people can do for themselves these days, funding their own ideas using capital from their friends or clients. Technology has changed everything, and so fast that not everyone has been able to keep up. These past few years, banks have had a rough time adapting to the new world. They were busy with new regulations. Some were so distracted, they forgot to innovate. You can probably imagine what they went through. It wasn't always a certainty that Ben's job would still exist today. A lot of people in the financial sector are now in IT, and Ben, well, Ben is good with people. I'm happy he's still here, though. What would they do without him? Consumers have become a lot more demanding and financially wise. Nowadays, people take the time to compare every detail of a mortgage, find out all the best bits from the banks, lending clubs, crowdfunding platforms, and wanting it all at once. Cherry picking is what we used to call this. And just when you think you have it all sorted, they come up with some more wishes. It takes people skills to deal with these new breed of consumer, and good products and services, of course. Well done, Ben. This is the near future. Things have changed. In the financial sector, customers are at the center of attention again. I'm happy with that. Some banks have come around. They are the ones that started to understand the new business economics and answered to the new competition. It's a lively world with these new ones around. I must say that the banks that are still here, they really reinvented themselves. Oh, sorry folks, I forgot. We were talking about coffee. Well, the coffee is still the same. But the financial sector, that's a different story.
As a coffee supplier, the way I purchase the beans and do the trade with my supplier has changed phenomenally, and it's going to change phenomenally. 2, as someone selling coffee to my customers, the way I sell my coffee has changed. Have you seen the loyalty points up and down by taking single espresso or double espresso? You're getting into analytics of how your consumer preferences and how you're going to measure the loyalty at the end of the day, and you're going to pay them the loyalty points. The third one is the way a banker or a mortgage provider sells the services to their customers in terms of analytics and how it is going to happen is changing. This is exactly the transformation of the way you do your business. So as a company, in this one video, what I like in this video is in this one video, they talk about the organizations, the companies who are in the business. They talk about the B2C, the companies selling to customers, B2B, the companies purchasing from customers, and C2C, the customers selling to the customers. It's a phenomenal shift in how business is going to be done. So if you are in an industry where your customers are the business entities, ladies and gentlemen, you got to change the way the things and the trade and the business is going to happen. If you are in a business where you're B2C, your customers are getting much equipped with their tools, with the tools they're using, with the digital transformation happening in their lives. If you are C2C, that's where you have a big challenge, because retail customers are the ones who are going to be the first set of customers who are going to use the technology very quicker. So depending on which space you are, you have a technological shift happening in the current world, and I think you need to embrace yourself very quickly